Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, translated with commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Adi Leela, Chapter 7, Lord Chaitanya and Five Features. Text 151. After this, all the sannyasis took the Lord in their midst, and thus they all took their meal together. Purport. Previously, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu neither mixed nor talked with the Mayavad sannyasis, but now he is taking lunch with them. It is to be concluded that when Lord Chaitanya induced them to chant Hare Krishna and excused them for their offenses, they were purified, and therefore there was no objection in taking lunch or Bhagavat Prasad with them, although Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu knew that the foodstuffs were not offered to the deity. Mayavad sannyasis do not worship the deity, or if they do, they generally worship the deity of Lord Shiva, or the Panchopashana, Lord Vishnu, Lord Shiva, Durga Devi, Ganesh, and Surya. Here we do not find any mention of the demigods or Vishnu, and yet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted food in the midst of the sannyasis on the basis that they had chanted the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and that he had excused their offenses. Text 152. After taking lunch among the Mayavad sannyasis, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is known as Gaurasundar, returned to his residence. Thus the Lord performs his wonderful pastimes. Text 153. Hearing the arguments of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and seeing his victory, Chandrasekhar, Tapan Mishra, and Sanatan were all extremely pleased. Purport. Here is an example of how a sannyasi should preach. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Varanasi, he went there alone, not with a big party. Locally, however, he made friendships with Chandrasekhar and Tapan Mishra, and Sanatan Goswami also came to see him. Therefore, although he did not have many friends there, due to his sound preaching and his victory in arguing with the local sannyasis on Vedanta philosophy, he became greatly famous in that part of the country, as explained in the next verse. Text 154. Many Mayavad sannyasis of Varanasi came to see the Lord after this incident, and the entire city praised him. Text 155. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited the city of Varanasi, and all of its peoples were very thankful. Text 156. The crowd at the door of his residence was so great that it numbered hundreds and thousands. Text 157. When the Lord went to visit the temple of Vishveshwar, hundreds and thousands of people assembled to see him. Purport. The important point in this verse is that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu regularly visited the temple of Vishveshwara, Lord Shiva, at Varanasi. Vaishnavas generally do not visit a demigod's temple, but here we see that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu regularly visited the temple of Vishveshwara, who was the predominating deity of Varanasi. Similarly, Mayavadi sannyasis and worshippers of Lord Shiva live in Varanasi. But how is it that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who took the part of a Vaishnava sannyasi, also visited the Vishveshwar temple? The answer is that a Vaishnava does not behave impudently toward the demigods. A Vaishnava gives proper respect to all, although he never accepts a demigod to be as good as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the Brahma Samhita, there are mantras offering obeisances to Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, the Sun God, and Lord Ganesh, as well as Lord Vishnu, all of whom are worshipped by the impersonalists as Panchopashana. In their temples, impersonalists also install deities of Lord Vishnu, Lord Shiva, the Sun God, Goddess Durga, and sometimes Lord Brahma also. And this system is continuing at present in India under the guise of the Hindu religion. Vaishnavas can also worship all these demigods, but only on the principles of Brahma Samhita, which is recommended by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We may note in this connection the mantras for worshipping Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, Goddess Durga, the Sun God, and Ganesh, as described in Brahma Samhita. There's a Sanskrit verse here. Translation. The external potency, Maya, who is of the nature of the shadow of the Chit, spiritual potency, is worshipped by all people as Durga, the creating, preserving, and destroying agency of this mundane world. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, in accordance with whose will Durga conducts herself. Brahma Samhita 5:44. There's a Sanskrit verse here. Translation. Milk is transformed into curd by the actions of acids, yet the effect curd is neither the same as nor different from its cause, that is, milk. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, of whom the state of Sambhu is a similar transformation for the performance of the work of destruction. Brahma Samhita 5:45. There's a Sanskrit verse. Translation. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, from whom the separated, subjective portion, Brahma, receives his power for the regulation of the mundane world. Just as the sun manifests a portion of his own light in all the effulgent gems that bear such names as Suryakanta. Brahma Samhita 5:49. There's a Sanskrit verse. Translation. I worship the primeval Lord Govinda. Ganesh always holds his lotus feet upon the pair of tamuli protruding from his elephant head in order to obtain power for his function of destroying all obstacles on the path of progress in the three worlds. End translation. Brahma Samhita 5:50. There's a Sanskrit verse. Translation. The sun, full of infinite effulgence, who is the king of all the planets and the image of the good soul, is like the eye of this world. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, in pursuance of whose order the sun performs his journey, mounting the wheel of time. Brahma Samhita 5:52. All the demigods are servants of Krishna. They are not equal with Krishna. Therefore, if one goes to a temple of the Panchopashana, as mentioned above, one should not accept the deities as they are accepted by the impersonalists. All of them are to be accepted as personal demigods, but they all serve the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Shankaracharya, for example, is understood to be an incarnation of Lord Shiva, as described in the Padma Purana. He propagated the Mayavad philosophy under the order of the Supreme Lord. We have already discussed this point in text 114 of this chapter. There's a Bengali verse here. Translation. Shankaracharya is not at fault, for he has thus covered the real purpose of the Vedas under the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. End translation. Although Lord Shiva, in the form of a Brahmin, Shankaracharya, preached the false philosophy of Mayavad, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu nevertheless said that since he did it on the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there was no fault on his part. Tanra dosha nahi. We must offer proper respects to all the demigods. If one can offer respects even to an ant, why not to the demigods? One must always know, however, that no demigod is equal to or above the Supreme Lord. Ekala Ishvara Krishna Ara Sabda Bricha. Translation. Only Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and all others, including the demigods, such as Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, Goddess Durga, and Ganesh, are his servants. End translation. Everyone serves the purpose of the Supreme Godhead, and what to speak of such small and insignificant living entities as ourselves. We are surely eternal servants of the Lord. The Mayavad philosophy maintains that the demigods, living entities, and Supreme Personality of Godhead are all equal. It is therefore a most foolish misrepresentation of Vedic knowledge. Text 158. Whenever Lord Chaitanya went to the banks of the Ganges to take bath, big crowds of many hundreds and thousands of people also assembled there. Text 159. Whenever the crowds were too great, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stood up, raised his hands, and chanted, Hari, Hari, to which all the people again responded, filling both the land and sky with the vibration. Text 160. After delivering the people in general, the Lord desired to leave Varanasi. After instructing Sri Sanatana Goswami, he sent him toward Vrindavan. Purport. The actual purpose of Lord Chaitanya's stay at Varanasi, after coming back from Vrindavan, was to meet Sanatana Goswami and teach him. Sanatana Goswami met Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu after the Lord's return to Varanasi, when the Lord taught him for 2 months about the implications of Vaishnava philosophy and Vaishnava activities. After completely instructing him, he sent him to Vrindavan to execute his orders. When Sanatana Goswami went to Vrindavan, there were no temples. The city was lying vacant, like an open field. Sanatana Goswami sat down on the bank of the Yamuna, and after some time, he gradually constructed the first temple. Then other temples were constructed, and now the city is full of temples, numbering about 5,000. Text 161. Because the city of Varanasi was always full of tumultuous crowds, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, after sending Sanatana to Vrindavan, returned to Jagannath Puri. Text 162. I have here given a brief account of these pastimes of Lord Chaitanya, but later I shall describe them in an extensive way. Text 163. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates of the Paiica-tattva distributed the holy name of the Lord to invoke love of Godhead throughout the universe, and thus the entire universe was thankful. Purport. It is said that Lord Chaitanya made the entire universe thankful to him for propagating the Sankirtan movement with his associates. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has already sanctified the entire universe by his presence 500 years ago, and therefore anyone who attempts to serve Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sincerely by following in his footsteps and following the instructions of the acharyas will successfully be able to preach the holy names of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra all over the universe. There are some foolish critics who say that Europeans and Americans cannot be offered sannyas. But here we find that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to preach the Sankirtan movement all over the universe. For preaching work, sannyasis are essential. These critics think that only Indians or Hindus should be offered sannyas to preach, but their knowledge is practically nil. Without sannyasis, the preaching work will be impeded. Therefore, under the instruction of Lord Chaitanya and with the blessings of his associates, there should be no discrimination in this matter. But people in all parts of the world should be trained to preach and given sannyas, so that the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan movement will expand boundlessly. We do not care about the criticism of fools. We shall go on with our work and simply depend on the blessings of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates, the Paiica-tattva.